Hello everyone. Finding someone to love is already challenging, but choosing a good husband to marry is even harder. After all, this husband will not only be your partner, but also the father of your children. However, a person's true nature doesn't always reveal itself early on, making it difficult to make wise decisions. Even after years of dating, a partner can turn out to be completely different, let alone when the relationship has only lasted a few days. As a testament to this, today's case revolves around a newlywed wife who met a tragic end. She unexpectedly died in an accident during a trip, and soon after, the media spread the news widely. The police quickly identified a suspect with plenty of evidence pointing to him as the killer. However, the suspect had meticulously prepared and researched thoroughly, executing the crime in a unique and horrifying manner, making this one of the boldest cases ever in Japan. So what exactly happened that year? Let's delve into the details of this shocking incident. Okinawa Island, located in southern Japan, boasts a subtropical climate and a rich history. Once an independent Ryukyu kingdom, Okinawa was annexed by Japan in 1879 and became a significant battlefield during World War II. After the war, Okinawa was under U.S. administration until 1972. Okinawa's unique culture blends Japanese and Ryukyu influences, known for its distinctive music, dance, and cuisine. If you're a travel enthusiast eager to explore new things, this could be the perfect destination for you. It was on this extraordinary island that the terrifying case I'm going to share today took place. On May 19, 1986, a young couple who had been married for only 3 months landed at Naha Airport on Okinawa Island to begin their wonderful honeymoon at one of Japan's most famous destinations. They planned to travel to Ishigaki Island, one of the most beautiful and renowned islands in Okinawa Prefecture, to enjoy their honeymoon. However, what made this trip different was that instead of just the two of them, the husband encouraged his wife to invite 3 of her close friends along, saying that the more people there were, the more fun and lively the trip would be. The husband was Riki Kamiya, born in 1939 in Sendai, a city in northeastern Japan. His father was a professor at Tohoku University with a stable income, while his mother was a housewife who took care of the family. Riki also had an older brother. At first, Riki's family lived a very happy life. However, when Riki was in his 3rd year of elementary school, his family faced a significant upheaval. His father was arrested for secretly participating in the activities of a political party and was convicted of being a political criminal. To support her family of 3, Riki's mother had to work while also caring for her 2 children. With the absence of her husband, it wasn't long before Riki's mother fell in love with another man. When his father was released, the family's situation became even more complicated. Eventually, Riki's mother decided to leave the family to be with the other man. However, this man was not a good person either, and quickly abandoned Riki's mother, leaving her in despair, leading her to attempt suicide by taking sleeping pills. At that time, Riki was only in the 5th grade. After losing his mother, his life became very difficult. Not only did he have to take on daily household chores, but Riki also had to work outside to earn extra income to help support the family. After graduating from high school, Riki decided not to pursue higher education like his peers. Instead, he moved to Tokyo, hoping to find better opportunities for himself. As he had hoped, Riki found a job at a store specializing in audio equipment. He didn't stop there. Over the following years, Riki constantly changed jobs, gained experience in various fields, and even reached managerial positions in 7 different companies. Alongside his steadily advancing career, Riki also experienced 2 marriages in his lifetime. Late in 1985, Riki officially started his own accounting services company. From that point on, he developed the habit of dressing impeccably, donning a luxurious suit and an elegant tie whenever he stepped out. With his sophisticated appearance and growing success in his career, Riki became increasingly admired by those around him, seen as a capable and charismatic man. During this time, Riki met a beautiful and graceful woman named Ryoko. She had previously worked as a waitress at a club. Whether it was love at first sight or not is unclear, but just 16 days after meeting, Riki hastily proposed to Ryoko. Ryoko, captivated by Riki's enthusiasm, determination, and sincerity, agreed, and the couple quickly moved forward with marriage. Finally, in February 1986, Riki and Ryoko officially became husband and wife. 3 months after the wedding, Riki and Ryoko decided to embark on their honeymoon to the beautiful Okinawa Islands. However, What happened during this trip was far from the romantic getaway one might imagine. It was more like a scene from a horror movie. On the second day, May 20th, Riki and Ryoko, along with 3 friends, met at Naha Airport and then traveled together to Ishigaki Island. Everything was going smoothly until around 11 a.m., when Ryoko took a few nutritional supplement capsules. Less than half an hour later, at 11:40 a.m., Riki suddenly became extremely anxious. He urgently told his wife that he had just remembered something very important that needed to be dealt with immediately, though he didn't explain what this important matter was. Ryoko, seeing her husband so worried, didn't know how to help him other than agreeing to let him return home early. So the couple parted ways, and little did Ryoko know this would be the last time they would ever see each other. Riki boarded a flight back home to Osaka, while Ryoko and her 3 friends boarded a plane to Ishigaki Island. At around 12:53 p.m., the plane carrying Ryoko and her friends safely landed on Ishigaki Island. Shortly after, the group took a taxi to the hotel where they had booked their stay. However, within a short time, Ryoko began to show alarming symptoms. She suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, accompanied by chills and numbness in her limbs. At first, her friends thought she was simply tired or had caught a cold and planned to take her back to the hotel to rest. However, upon arriving at the hotel, Ryoko's condition rapidly worsened. She started experiencing full-body convulsions and had difficulty breathing. Realizing the severity of Ryoko's condition, her friends knew they couldn't afford to wait any longer. They immediately contacted emergency services to take Ryoko to Yayama Hospital. Unfortunately, just 7 minutes after leaving the hotel, Ryoko's heart stopped beating. Although the medical team attempted to perform CPR, tragically, Ryoko was pronounced dead at the hospital at 3:04 p.m. that afternoon. At the time, Riki was still at the airport waiting for his flight when he suddenly received the devastating news. He immediately boarded the earliest possible flight to the hospital. Upon seeing that his wife had passed away, Riki was overwhelmed with grief and couldn't believe that after being married to Ryoko for just over 3 months, they were now separated by death, never to meet again. Ryoko's sudden and unexpected death raised suspicions among her family members. The hospital where Ryoko had been taken contacted the police and suggested conducting an autopsy to determine the exact cause of her death. After some consideration, Riki agreed to the police's proposal, hoping they could uncover the truth behind his wife's untimely death. After conducting a thorough examination and autopsy, the doctors confirmed that Ryoko had been in good health prior to the incident, with no abnormalities in her organs. They only discovered a slight blockage in her heart area. Based on the testimonies of Ryoko's friends, who described her sudden cold sweat and breathing difficulties upon returning to the hotel, the doctors deduced that the cause of Ryoko's death was acute myocardial infarction. In a normal case, if no clear cause of the heart attack could be found, the autopsy might have ended there. However, for some reason, the lead doctor still felt that there was more to this case than met the eye. The doctor felt that the victim's husband was too calm following his wife's death. Even when informed that his wife had died from a heart attack, he showed no sign of surprise or sorrow. Because of this, the doctor discreetly took 30 milliliters of blood from the victim's heart and carefully preserved it. The action would prove to be a crucial point in the case. At the end of May, Ryoko's funeral took place in Osaka, with many friends and family members in attendance. However, strangely, only the wife's relatives attended the funeral, while the husband was the only one present from his side of the family, something that was quite unusual. At this point, Ryoko's 3 friends who had traveled with her could no longer stay silent. They approached the police to file a report, hoping for a prompt investigation into the husband. In fact, they had already felt something was off with Riki when they were in Ishigaki. They had the following suspicions. Firstly, the 3 of them had been close friends with Ryoko for many years and knew that she had been in excellent health. It seemed improbable that she would suddenly suffer a heart attack, so they suspected that she might have been poisoned by something she consumed. Coincidentally, on the afternoon of the incident, they had seen Ryoko swallow a few capsules, and she hadn't eaten anything else. Secondly, Riki had proposed to Ryoko very quickly, and then just 3 months after their marriage, Ryoko suddenly passed away. Everything had happened too fast. Combined with the fact that Riki appeared alone at the funeral and remained unusually calm, all these factors were highly suspicious. Driven by the concerns of the 3 friends, Both the media and the police began to pay closer attention to Riki and started an investigation. The results revealed even more troubling details. Firstly, Riki's financial situation was problematic. Although he claimed to run an accounting firm, the business wasn't making any money, and he hadn't filed an income report with the tax authorities for 3 years, indicating that his outward success was merely a facade. Moreover, despite presenting himself as an accountant, Riki was not listed among licensed practitioners, suggesting that he was likely lying about his profession. Next, it was discovered that Riki had been married 3 times. Astonishingly, all 3 of his wives had died suddenly due to heart-related issues. Riki's first wife, a nurse, had died in 1981 at the age of 28 due to heart disease. His second wife also tragically passed away less than a year after their marriage from heart failure. And his third wife, Ryoko, died suddenly from a heart attack just over 3 months after their wedding. Thus, within less than 5 years, Riki had lost 3 wives to heart conditions, a highly unusual and suspicious pattern. What was even more notable was that in the case of his second wife, Riki had taken out a life insurance policy worth 10 million yen and received a substantial payout. For his third wife, Ryoko, he had purchased 4 insurance policies totaling 185 million yen, further raising suspicions of foul play. To cover the hefty monthly premiums for these large insurance policies, Riki had borrowed money from various sources. Notably, just 20 days before Ryoko's sudden death, he purchased yet another insurance policy. Riki's blatant and reckless insurance fraud was hard to ignore. When the insurance companies uncovered these suspicious details, they decided to refuse the payout. The reason given was that Ryoko had previously been hospitalized for a neurological condition, which had not been disclosed when the insurance was purchased. This refusal infuriated Riki, and he decided to sue the insurance companies. Although he initially won the case in the first trial, the insurance companies continued to refuse payment. The reason for their refusal was that by then, news of Riki's insurance fraud had been widely exposed in the media. During an interview, Riki appeared confident when facing allegations of killing his wife for insurance money, even going so far as to challenge, "If such a poison exists, show it to me." This brazen attitude only increased suspicion against him. The Tokyo police also began their investigation, but the problem was that Riki had a perfect alibi. Although the nutritional capsules Riki had given his wife contained poison, Ryoko had died about an hour and 40 minutes after ingesting them, which didn't align with the effects of the poison. Finally, after a thorough autopsy, scientists discovered a highly dangerous toxin called aconitine, commonly found in the aconitum plant. The substance causes nerve paralysis and can directly attack the heart muscle, leading to death. Humans have long had experience in using aconitine toxins, such as applying poisons from the roots of aconitum plants to arrowheads for hunting. Symptoms like sweating and limb paralysis are consistent with the initial symptoms observed in the victim, leading the police to believe this was a murder by poisoning. Moreover, the police found evidence that the defendant had purchased 69 pots of aconitum roots from a flower shop. With these 2 crucial pieces of evidence, on July 1, 1991, Riki was arrested on charges of murder and attempted fraud. Just 20 days earlier, he had been arrested for another corruption case, making this arrest go smoothly. However, convicting Riki was not going to be easy. After thorough investigation, the police were able to determine that the victim had ingested capsules containing aconitine toxin, and symptoms appeared 1 hour and 40 minutes later. During this time, she hadn't eaten or drunk anything else. Aconitine is a fast-acting toxin, especially in high doses, with symptoms typically appearing around 10 minutes after ingestion. If the capsules were indeed the cause, a chemical experiment showed that even with 3 layers of capsule coating, the onset of toxicity could only be delayed by about 5 to 10 minutes, and those small capsules could only cover about 30 to 50%. Therefore, the defendant's defense that he wasn't at the scene when the incident occurred was entirely plausible. In this case, the prosecution faced significant challenges in successfully convicting the defendant. In fact, since his arrest, Riki hadn't shown any signs of worry, continuing to live confidently and at ease. Riki adamantly denied all guilt, asserting that he had purchased the aconitum roots merely for ornamental purposes, not to poison the victim. As for the large insurance policies on his wife, Riki explained that the deaths of his previous 2 wives had caused him great emotional trauma, and he didn't want to experience such a loss again. In short, Riki steadfastly maintained his innocence, even defiantly challenging the police. What can you do about it? Faced with the defendant's defiance and resolve, the prosecution struggled to provide a satisfactory explanation for the delayed onset of toxicity, and the case once again hit a dead end. But then a key figure emerged. One day while resting, a fisherman living nearby happened to watch the news about Riki's insurance fraud case and immediately recognized the man on TV as his special customer. Why special? Because over the past 2 years, Riki had only purchased one type of fish from this fisherman, pufferfish. While pufferfish may look cute and taste delicious, its liver and blood contain highly dangerous toxins that can only be consumed safely when prepared by a skilled chef. Otherwise, it leads to poisoning. Upon hearing this clue, the investigators were thrilled, sensing this could be the key to solving the case. The police immediately requested a re-examination of the preserved evidence. And sure enough, in addition to the aconitine toxin, they also found pufferfish toxin. This suggested that the defendant might have combined these two toxins to delay the onset of symptoms 1 hour and 40 minutes before they appeared. The investigators then conducted various experiments to determine the chemical interaction between these two toxins. Eventually, they uncovered the secret behind it. It turned out that the pufferfish toxin reacts with the toxic component of the aconitum plant, thereby extending the time for the poison to take effect. Specifically, the delay was approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes, which was entirely feasible. This experimental result directly broke the defendant's alibi, proving that he could not escape the law's punishment. What surprised people even more was that despite only having a high school education, the defendant knew how to use these two toxins to poison and kill someone, not to mention calculating the exact time for the toxins to take effect. The police later found the answer in an apartment Riki had rented, where they discovered numerous chemical lab equipment. Moreover, the landlord provided a clue that his water usage was unusually high. Riki also kept many mice in the house since 1981 and frequently bought pufferfish, likely to conduct experiments on the mice over the years. Riki's second wife was probably also a victim. He managed to secure a large insurance payout, and the taste of that success made him gradually addicted, prompting him to target his second wife. His sole purpose in marrying her was to commit insurance fraud, which is why he proposed just 6 days after meeting her. During their trip, Riki intentionally invited 3 of his wife's close friends and then left the scene, all to create an alibi and erase any suspicion. If the police hadn't requested an autopsy at the time, and if the doctor hadn't preserved 30 milliliters of blood, this case might never have been solved. Even if someone had suspected the defendant, there wouldn't have been anything they could do about it, and he might have successfully carried out a perfect crime. In 1994, the trial of the defendant Riki officially began. The prosecution had meticulously organized all the clues, from the motive to the method of the crime. They had found witnesses and material evidence. Faced with such evidence, Riki still stubbornly refused to plead guilty in court. He recklessly defended himself, insisting that he only bought pufferfish to observe them, as he wanted to start a food company researching pufferfish preparation methods, and that he had no intention of poisoning his wife. But the authorities weren't fools. After hearing the prosecutor's detailed description, the judge concluded that the defendant had planned and carefully prepared to carry out the most horrifying method of murder. After sentencing him to life imprisonment, the defendant shouted that he was innocent and refused to admit his guilt, subsequently filing an appeal. The Tokyo High Court quickly upheld the original sentence, but Riki continued to appeal to the Supreme Court, though the outcome remained unchanged. Despite this final ruling, in prison, the defendant kept proclaiming his innocence, even writing 2 books titled The Murdered Father and Son Case and The Father and Son Life Imprisonment Case. In these books, Riki presented his perspective on being wrongfully accused, but no one paid any attention to him. In November 2012, at the age of 73, the murderer Riki died in prison. This case once shocked Japan because the murderer nearly achieved his goal. The case serves as a wake-up call to women. Never fully trust what men say, especially those you've just met and don't know much about. This video ends here. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Goodbye and see you in the next video.